Guten Tag, meine Damen und Herren. Wir begrüßen Sie alle sehr
Ladies and
herzlich
gentlemen, welcome to today's first Basel Conference on the Judiciary on the topic of the separation of powers and the independence of judges. My co-host is Dr. Thomas Stadelmann, who is a federal judge at the Federal Supreme Court. He was awarded an honorary doctorate from the law faculty at the University of Basel for his great international commitment for the protection and strengthening of judicial independence in Europe. With this conference, our Basel Law faculty wants to make a clear signal with that and with our conference and encourage particularly the scientific community to commit themselves to the independence of the judiciary, the separation of powers, and the rule of law. The co-organizer of today's conference is the Swiss Institute for the Judiciary, and it is supported by the European Association of Judges. Its members are provided with a French and an English simultaneous interpretation. It is great to see that there are around 400 participants. Our conference will be recorded and you can watch it afterwards and pass them on to other interested parties. If you have any questions for the speakers, or if you would like to participate in the discussion, you can do that through our electronic chat. Here you can ask your questions in written form, and we will then include your questions and contributions in the panel discussion. The fact that so many of you join us here today confirms how important independence and impartiality of the judiciary are, not only in cultures far away, but recently in Europe as well, unfortunately. This has become a very topical issue because even here, independence and impartiality of justice don't seem to be self-evident anymore. Newest examples for this development, and we're going to hear about them this afternoon, are in particular the EU member states, Poland and Hungary, but Bulgaria and Romania too, and the member states of the Council of Europe and signatory states of the ECHR, Russia and Turkey. This is sad because it was in Europe that the basis of the separation of powers was developed over 250 years ago by Montesquieu. And since then, it has been transferred into a complex multi-layer system of vertical and horizontal checks and balances. And it has since been developed further.
abgesichert und gestärkt werden dieser
The rule of law in Europe is secured and strengthened by the two European institutional courts. And what we do here has an influence all over the world. Our two constitutional courts are the European Court for Human Rights and the European Court of Justice of the European Union in Luxembourg. They compete with each other to a certain degree and complement each other at the same time. And of course, the national constitutional courts are also part of this partnership. By the separation of power between the executive, the legislative, and judicative branch, we can generally we can generally make sure that there is no misuse of power and corruption. And an independent judiciary ensures a high legal quality and legal certainty, and that people trust the law and believe in legal equality, legal security, and equality in the society in general. With your participation in today's conference, you as participants, you are honored as it honors you as participants, but it also honors our successful efforts to attract renowned experts that you all know. They are going to talk about the theoretical, dogmatical, but also the practical parts and questions around this topic. They will make a critical analysis and compare the different law structures there are. I think that since you are an expert audience, our speakers are very well known to you. So we are not going to introduce them with their extensive curriculum vitae. This is going to save us time for the speeches of 20 minutes. And we have a first European part and then a second Swiss part. And after those two parts, we will have two panel discussions, which will take about 40 or 45 minutes. So we kindly ask all the speakers to keep their time precisely and to stay within the limits of these 20 minutes. So let me introduce to you our first speaker, Mr. Professor Voskuhle from the University of Freiburg in Breisgau, ex-long-term president of the German Federal Constitutional Court in Karlsruhe. The title of his speech is Europe Task Role and Influence of the CJEU in Safeguarding Judicial Independence. Mr. Voskuhle, the floor is yours.